G'day and welcome to the Ops Room. My name is Matthew Watts, and I'm really enjoying hosting this series. I think it's good. I think it's good value, and I've received some excellent feedback from people via email, two comments on my Instagram, and a couple of messages here in LinkedIn. So thank you for the people that are watching and listening, and viewing it on YouTube. And thank you very much for the feedback and the questions. Keep it coming. I want these sessions to be of value. That's exactly why I've done them. They're intended to be informal conversation, informal Q&A, just where you can ask the questions that maybe you don't trust the AI answer, or you just want a second opinion on something that you've heard from your peers or from your clients or from your mentors. And so if it's to do with business operations, marketing, websites, today I'm talking about Google Analytics, anything and everything, any systems, tools, techie kind of questions, then send them in to me or jump on live. I'd love to have you show up live and have a conversation with you. But I'm more than happy just to answer questions that get sent through in the way that we've been doing for the last kind of 5, 6 weeks now. So, with that in mind, let me pull up, I'll just put this onto silent. Let me pull up the questions that I've received for today. So, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4 questions today. Hopefully, I'll be able to get through all of those. So, one question comes from a conversation with a client, and I think it's important. So, I wanted to include it here. This particular client has her website set up on GoHighLevel. All of her funnels are in GoHighLevel. Her social media goes out through GoHighLevel. Her email marketing goes out through GoHighLevel. Her calendar's in GoHighLevel. She's really making excellent use of the platform, plugging in all of the different features and using them as a kind of hub to run her business, which is exactly as it was intended. So very pleased with all of that. Her question, though, is how does she know what marketing is working? And so we jumped into the reporting tab. Actually, let me open up GHL and we'll give you a look and show you what I'm talking about. Bear with me 2 seconds, just while we get into a demo account. Here we go. So if you're unfamiliar with GoHighLevel, it is all-in-one CRM and marketing platform. That is actually the best way to describe it. It does email marketing and social media scheduling. You can build websites and funnels on it. You can manage your online reputation. You can create automations that will interact with people on your website, on your social media, when they fill in forms, when they want to join webinars, anything and everything you can think of to do with your business, you can run through GoHighLevel. Now, it natively looks a little bit different. This is my white label version, up level, and this is a demo account. But what I was saying was, my client wanted to have a better understanding of how her marketing was working and what people were doing on her website. Where were they coming from? All that kind of really juicy information that you need once you have marketing in place, and you want to know what's effective and what's not effective, what to do more of and what to stop doing, what to spend more on and what to stop spending on, responsible business owner questions. So first thing I did was take her went to Funnels and Sites, and then we went to her website, because on a website we have this little tab here called Stats. And you can see how many people view a page, how many unique visits those visitors there was as opposed to total views, how many people opted in, what was the opt-in rate, how many orders were placed, blah blah blah. So these statistics are very much tracking the visit to dollar conversion journey. It doesn't show page source, where are people coming from. These statistics are really well placed in a funnel where you might have, where a lead magnet funnel, for example, and it's really important to know how many people landed on the opt-in page, how many people opted in, Did anyone book a call or make a sale after that? Okay, that's important information for a funnel. Doesn't apply quite as specifically to your website. It's a different journey people are going on. Some people have high intent, some people have low intent, some people want to take action straight away, sorry. And some people have only just heard your name and are just checking you out, and they're probably not going to do anything on there. So websites need to look at different information rather than just visits, opt-ins, sales. But this is where we started. So I could show her how many visits she was having, how many of those were unique visits, and how many people had opted in for her newsletter or lead magnet or those kinds of things. So that's which is useful information. And then we went down here to the reporting tab, and we went to our attribution reporting. Now, attribution reporting is good to a certain extent because it shows you all of this information. Let me jump to a different account. Okay, let's go there. Okay, so what this does, we can see what was the event. So page visit, the source was a referral, and then it shows you what the referral website was. What was the source? Where did they come from? One came from a website page, and one source was social media. So that's great. That's useful information. But at the moment, it's disconnected from how many visits is the website getting and where that, it's difficult to connect this information with that information. So you have a cohesive picture that's easy to interpret and easy to understand. Does that make sense? Um, and I suppose that's a pretty big frustration with GoHighLevel. The reporting has always been lacks cohesion. It's always lacked cohesion. It's always lacked that holistic view, that top-down view. It's always zoomed in on uh, visit opt-in result. Even the webinar funnels, visits opt-in, whereas actually, once you've got your social media working, once you've got your website set up, once you're doing email marketing, this is the really important information, this attribution, which bits of those marketing are working. And so after demonstrating all of this to her, I said, right, we're going to need to set up Google Analytics. Google Analytics is quite an old tool. We're currently on Google Analytics 4. And all it does is it inserts a little piece of code onto every page of your website, and it tracks visitors across the website. So you can see where they've come from, which pages they landed on, how long they spent on each page, where they were located, all this kind of information, which is going to be really helpful in determining the future marketing that a business does. So with that in mind, okay, so that's the question we're trying to answer is where's the traffic coming from? How long are people staying? Is my marketing working? Are the pages working? Because she's got very niche specific language on her pages, very direct calls to action on specific pages. Are they the pages that are working, or is it other pages that are working? So that's the kind of information we want to see. So in order to do that, we have to set up Google Analytics 4. Now that's a pretty straightforward process. If you haven't done this already, let me know, and I can kind of go through this in another video. I can't spell. But there are many, many different ways that you can learn how to set this up. I'm happy to go through it. You might not want to wait for me. There's YouTube videos, endless YouTube videos. You might want to ask your preferred AI tool, whether it's ChatGPT or Kimini or DeepSeek or Claude, whichever one you use, how to do it. But it is pretty straightforward. There's a very good wizard that walks you through the whole thing. So yeah, that's it. That's how one would do it. Once you have your Google Analytics set up, there's three things that you need to configure before any of the information that gets captured makes any sense to you at all. So the first thing is traffic source grouping. This is pretty simple. Like Google has 18 default traffic channels. You can add new ones if you want to. You can rename them. You can reorder them. All of that kind of thing. But that's going to let you know whether someone's come from a specific search engine, whether they come from a specific social media platform, whether they've come from a backlink, whether they've come directly to your website just by typing in your domain name. That's the key information. So that source information is the first thing that you're going to set up, that traffic source grouping. Then what you're going to do is you're going to mark down your key events. In GA3 and previous, this was called a conversion. So that might have been somebody clicked your phone number, somebody filled in a form, somebody made an appointment, somebody booked a table, whatever the events are that are specific for your business, you'll create those. The last one you would want to do is check your engagement time. Now, they call it engagement time. It used to be called bounce rate. The vernacular that many people still use, including myself, is bounce rate. But they use engagement time. So um, it's the opposite of engaged sessions. So somebody who sits on a page and reads an article for 8 minutes and then leaves technically was a bounce because they visited one page and left under the old logic. Um, this this engagement time lets you understand how long people are staying on your website. So a high number in your engagement time isn't necessarily a bad thing, whereas in a bounce rate, a high number was a terrible thing. But so they're the three things that we need to set up first: our traffic source grouping, our where is the traffic coming from, the key events, what are the things people are doing on your website, and engagement time. How long are people on your website doing the things that are available for them to do? So once you've got all of that, then understanding your Google Analytics dashboard and what it represents, your marketing, becomes really, really simple. I know that probably all sounded really geeky. It is a lot easier to understand and implement than I've probably made it sound. But that's the advice that I've given my client, and we're actioning that. So if you want to have a good understanding, particularly if you're using GoHighLevel, if you want to have that next layer of understanding on what's happening on your website, what's happening as a result of the marketing that you're doing on the different platforms or in real life, then this is a really important thing to do, setting up your Google Analytics. Example for my client, she does most of her marketing happens offline, but she does have a QR code on her business card. So it's really easy for us to track that page that people get directed to as the point of origin. And so we can, as our traffic grouping, we've just got that page is networking. Super simple. It's the only way people can navigate to it. It's got a no robots follow file on it. So it doesn't show up in search. So the only way people navigate to it is direct from that QR code. So just having that show up on her Google Analytics graph, she instantly can go, oh, wow, I'm definitely going to keep networking. That's the majority of my traffic. And she really enjoys it. So don't think that it can only measure what's happening online, because whatever happens online is a result of something that could have happened offline as well. Okay, so please do bear that in mind. I don't know if that makes sense. I know I've answered the question, but is it in a way that everybody's understanding? I haven't had any comments come through that say, Matthew, you're talking rubbish. But that's definitely the next step for understanding your marketing, getting Google Analytics or some other tracking code on your website. I like Google Analytics. I'm a big fan of Google and everything they do. So yeah, getting that on your website so you're capturing data so you can see it. If you can't see it, you can't measure it. If you can't measure it, you can't do anything about it. So that's the first step. Alrighty. What was that? Was that a comment? No. Okay. Right. Second question today. My website looks fine on a laptop, but a customer told me it looked broken on their phone. How much of this stuff actually breaks on mobile, and how would you know? Yeah, really good question, actually. One I wasn't expecting, because we've been mobile first for a really long time. 60%, at least 60% of traffic to your website happens on the phone. And it's been that way for several years now. I mean, if you're old like me, have if your target audience is a younger audience, then that 60% figure could be closer to 80 or 90% of the traffic that you're experiencing happens on the phone. I know my daughter and son do not use the computer for their personal browsing. They're always on the phone. So really important that your website works on mobile. So what are the common things that don't work? Okay, so I mean the easiest, sorry, let me backtrack. How would you even know? There's two ways you can do that. One, you can look at your website on your phone, or you can use a tool like let me just pull up a website. You could use a tool like this one. So this is just a Chrome plugin that I've got. And click here, my little Chrome. I go to Mobile Simulator. Shows me what the website looks like on a mobile. If I come over here to the right-hand side, I can change devices or compare devices. So currently it's an iPhone 13, so I could switch that to a 17. Oh no, I can't because that's a Pro. Let's go to the 14. Let's go to the 12. So you can see how different it looks on the different devices on a MacBook Air versus on an iPad mini. Okay, so you can check how your website looks on mobile by using a mobile or by using some tool like this. This one's really easy. If we just go to the Chrome, yes, extension tool, web tool. Okay, and we've got mobile stimulator. You can see loads of them come up. This is the one that I use, this first one here. But you could pick any, okay? So they're the different ways that you can see what your website looks like on a mobile device. Just use a mobile device or use a simulator. The most common things to break are text sitting on top of images or running off screen, buttons too small to hit with your finger. That's surprisingly common. What else? Pages or forms that make you scroll sideways. I'm sure you've all seen that. We have to go off the visible area to get to the rest of the form or the rest of the page. I mean, that's incredibly annoying and frustrating for me. I'm sure it is for you as well. Menus that don't open when you click them, that can be A, because the menu doesn't work, or B, because the clickable area is too small for people or in the wrong location on their screen for people to find. And they're all mobile specific problems. They're not going to show up if you view it on your laptop or on your desktop machine. So you have to, even if you haven't built it, if someone else has built it for you, make sure you test every page and every button and every form on a mobile device, because that's where most of your traffic is coming from. So typically when a website is built now, it uses what's called responsive design. So it will automatically adjust to the size of the screen that it has for that it's being viewed on. It doesn't necessarily, it used to just be it would shrink, but now you can actually completely rebuild a website depending on the viewport that's being used. Sorry, the device that's being used, which is really, really cool. For example, on this website, these buttons are actually side by side. If we have them side by side on the phone, they're really small and the wording's tiny, so we've stacked them. Super easy. The font I've made a specific size for mobile. On the website, there's quite large gaps between all of these. We've shrunk those right down because you don't need these enormous. Let me just go back here. We don't need these big gaps on a mobile device. We want everything to be close together. People get sick of endlessly scrolling. So you have to think about the experience that someone is having on a mobile device versus the experience that they're having on your website when they're viewing it on a desktop machine. So you should specifically design for each device experience. It is really easy to do nowadays using a tool like GoHighLevel, using a tool like Elemental or Divi Theme on WordPress, Squarespace, Wix. All of them make it very, very simple for you to create a unique experience for each device. There's no reason nowadays why you should have any kind of negative experience on a mobile device. That said, it can happen. I know a client of mine that has a WordPress website with Divi. We moved her from Divi 4.0 to Divi 5.0, so that was a major theme upgrade. And there was a lot of things that broke um, on mobile that weren't immediately evident when we did all of our checks. Um, None of them life altering. All of them very easy to repair, but not all of them showed up immediately after the transition, which was quite odd. It took a few updates of the Divi theme for these things to break. So it's really important that I would schedule it in your diary just to check website on mobile. Just do it once a month. Um, Depending on which platform your website is on, the software used to create it requires constant updates. These updates can cause glitches or breaks. So it's important that you check your website regularly in the same way that you check your car. You check your tire pressure, you check your oil, check your pages still work, check your forms still work, check everything displays the way it's meant to display. Super, super easy. Um, Important to note that Google ranks the mobile version of your site now, not your desktop one. So if your mobile version is broken, then your SEO and your results in search is also broken. So really important that your mobile site shows up correctly. Okay. Great. So following on from that, someone told me my website is, oh, let me just jump into LinkedIn and see if we've got any questions, any comments. No questions, no comments. Awesome. Sorry, just going to double check Instagram now. Yeah, splendid. Great. Okay, so the next question that I have is, oh, this is from the same person. Apparently, my website is slow. Does that matter, or is it just a thing a developer says to sound clever? It does matter. Yes, developers do say it sometimes to sound clever, sometimes to charge more money, uh, sometimes to um, without explanation as well. If a developer or designer ever says anything to you about your website, they should always be able to qualify, explain, and quantify, prove what they're saying. Um, if they can't, then it might just be a stretch to send you another invoice. And I'm not saying all developers are evil, that's certainly not the case. But like any industry, there are cowboys, there are people that try and stretch invoices. So, always make sure that they can qualify, explain what they're talking about, and quantify, prove what they're talking about. Um, if they can't, then it may or may not actually be an issue at all. So to come back to this, somebody's told you your website's slow. Yes, it does matter. Um, because humans are impatient creatures. If something takes too long to occur, then we disregard it. How long, how many times have you been? So I'm in the UK, so I'm in London quite a lot, waiting for trains, waiting for buses, particularly buses. If you wait too long for a bus, then you'll start heading for the tube. Um, and I quite enjoy catching the bus in London. Sit on the top deck, you get the whole view, lovely. But if it takes too long to happen, then I'll just go to the tube or I'll walk. Like I'll disregard the thing that takes too long. If a website is taking too long to open or a page is taking too long to become functional or to become visible, then often humans will just disregard it. They will move on to another source of information or another source of entertainment or whatever the purpose of the website visit was. So it is really important that when your page loads, it loads quickly and it loads completely. You're competing with other people's websites. because if it doesn't happen, people will leave you. Okay. So when a page loads slowly, when a website is slow, it's typically for one of two reasons. The first one is that image files are too big. They're either too big in actual size and they need to be resized in order to be displayed, or the file is too large and it takes too long to load. The second reason that a website is slow is that the page is trying to load all of these scripts and plugins and pieces of functionality that it doesn't actually need in order for this page to work. So actually, yeah, let's do that. Page speed. So here's a good thing that you can use. It's a free tool. We just go to page speeds insights. And if I go to let's spell your name correctly, matthewjwatts.com, and let's analyze that. This will tell me how quickly my website loads on mobile, and it will give me some recommendations on how I can improve things. And ironically, this is taking a long time. Okay, so okay, so 2 seconds till first contentful paint. So what is a contentful paint? A contentful paint is how long the page, takes to how long it takes the content to appear in full. You might notice on some websites, like the wording will appear and then an image and then this button and then, so how long does all the content take to appear? That's the first contentful paint. 2 seconds, that is a little bit long actually. Everything else is okay. That's very quick. That's fine. That's fine. Um, Layout shift culprits. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so um, what it's saying is that on mobile, let's just jump into mobile view. On mobile, um, this image moves from here to here without the visitor doing anything. Now that's actually intended because there is an image there, it's just hidden. And this one is hidden on desktop so that they appear in the right order. Um, so, okay, that's interesting. Not using caches correctly, and I've got some render blocking requests, but not many. Okay, so that's fine. That's what we mean. A render blocking request is a script or plugin that a page is trying to load that it may or may not necessarily need, but it has to load before the rest of the page can be put onto the screen for the viewer. This is actually just a font, which I quite like. So that's being imported. But it isn't actually in many places, so I could probably remove it and just use Montserrat instead, which is what I'm actually going to do. Okay, so that's a great tool to check how your website performs. So you can see I'm green here for some really good aspects, but my performance is a little slow, so it loaded a little slowly. So I'm going to work on that. Agentic browsing, that's new. LMM does not follow recommendations. I know exactly why that is, because I have two I have duplicate content in my LLM text for AI agents, um, which I am removing. So that's fine. Desktop, excellent score. Very pleased with that. Okay, so um, they're the two reasons that your website might be loading slowly. Image is too big. Uh, it's trying to load information that it might not necessarily need. That's the best way to check. Use the Page Speed Insights tool. And then you could probably have a look at that yourself. Like if my images were too big, it would have said to me, your images are huge. If it says that, you can swap the images or you can compress the images or you can resize the images using Canva or something else. You don't necessarily need to pay your designer or your developer £200 an hour to jump in and do that for you. But it's important that you have this information. And as I said at the start, if your web designer is going to explain to you and prove to you what's going on, then PageSpeed Insights is one of the tools that they'll use to show you that information. Okay. So LinkedIn. Okay. Right. So next question for today. I get inquiries through my contact form, but half of them just go quiet after my first reply. Is that a follow-up problem or is it a website problem? Oh, I like this one. Um, mm, 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 mm. I get inquiries through my contact form, but half of them go quiet after my first reply. Is that a follow-up problem or a website problem? Okay, I'm going to say it might be both. Um, and there's a reason for that. So one thing that your website should do when someone fills in a form, whether it's a contact form, as in this example, or an opt-in form for a lead magnet or a webinar registration, whatever that is it should frame the expectation for what's going to happen next. Okay, just like when you book an airline ticket, you get 5 emails. Thanks for booking. Thanks for booking. Here's your receipt. Thanks for booking. Here's your e-ticket. Thanks for booking. Here's how you book your luggage and check in and all that kind of stuff. It frames the relationship of what's going to happen next. So your website, when somebody fills in a form, needs to do the same thing. Now you can see here in this demo funnel, we've got our lead magnet opt-in page. So someone's going to fill in a form. And then I have another page, which is going to set the expectation for what happens next. So thank you. You requested resources on the way and we'll be with you in 5 minutes. All right, cool. I've got 5 minutes. And then we hit them up with an invitation to book something else. Um, um, Let me just go to this without sharing the rest of her account. Now, your form might not necessarily redirect to a page, but if you're using a tool like GoHighLevel, you can just display a message once somebody fills in the form. Super easy to do. Really, really, really easy. So this particular client, she didn't want to use a page. For her newsletter opt-in. She's got a form, people opt in, and then this is the message that they receive. Thanks for choosing to receive my newsletter. I send it on the 15th, add my email address to make sure you receive it. So now they know it's a monthly newsletter sent on the 15th, and it's going to come from this email address. Boom. So that's all the information they need to make sure that the next step happens pretty seamlessly. So what information are you missing? If we just quickly jump back to the question, I get inquiries through my contact form, but half of them could just go quiet after reply. Yeah, so what information is missing from your website or from that post form fill-in message that could set the expectation for what's going to happen next? Let them know how you're going to reply, how quickly you're going to reply, um, and then they'll be content. When you reply, make sure that it's in the same tone of voice and the same branding and everything else that they experienced on the website. If it's a different tone of voice, if you're friendly on the website but really serious and professional in your reply, then that's going to cause a disconnect in their brain. If it's different branding, that's going to cause a disconnect in their brain, and they'll lose the trust that they had when they filled in the form. Okay, so we need that consistency of tone, of aesthetic, of brand. All of that needs to remain the same from website to communication. Um, yeah, and I think in the message that they receive, again, you would reiterate why the message is being sent, particularly if there's some kind of delay between them filling in the form and that response being sent. Because we're busy, man. Like I've received emails from things that I've opted into, and I've completely forgotten I've opted into them. Um, so yeah, making sure that you're restating why they're receiving the communication in the first place can be quite important. Okay. if you can adjust those things that on the website, the framing what's going to happen next, making sure that there's that consistency of brand, tone, aesthetic from the website to your response, and that restating the cause of your response so that people go, oh yeah, that's right, I filled that in yesterday. They've got back to me today. That's excellent. Okay, then you should, I'm very confident that you will, see an uplift in people getting back to you after that first reply. Okay, because they wanted something when they filled in the form. So it's just making sure that you carry all of those things over into your response. Right, I've got one more question today. Do I need live chat on my website, or is that just another thing to manage that nobody uses? That's a good question. Suppose the answer is depends. It depends on not necessarily who you are and what you do or who you serve, but is anybody on the other end of the live chat? Um, if like there's nothing worse than submitting those things which indicate urgency. Oh, there's a chat bubble. I'm going to chat. Chat is quick. It's back and forth. I'm going to chat, and then I get a message saying nobody's here. We'll respond to you via email. If I wanted to respond via email, I would have just sent you an email. So, what's the promise of the live chat widget, and is it going to be kept? So, if there is going to be some kind of person on the other end of the chat widget, then yeah, have a live chat widget. That's great. If you've created some kind of AI agent to interact, then don't call it a live chat. Make sure they know it's an AI agent. I don't want a robot pretending to be a person. That's stupid. That breaks trust with me immediately, and I'm pretty sure that sentiment's uh, pretty common, particularly at this point with AI moving the way it is. Um, so they're the two things first off the top of my head. It's either a properly built bot that you've told people is a bot, or it's a real person that's going to be answering relatively quickly, almost instantly. So if those two things are there, um, then that's great. If people put a question into a live chat and it doesn't get answered, that just tells people that you're not there. You don't want to interact with them in a meaningful way, and it actually negatively damages your brand. Um, but what I think you need to ask yourself is, why do people fill these things in the first place? They're filling them in because they have a question they want an answer to. So the better thing to think about, as opposed to do I need a live chat or not, is what are the questions that are unanswered in my website, and how can I answer those questions? Then you won't need the live chat widget or the probably built bot. You know, um, if you've got a nicely written FAQ section, or if you've got comprehensive wording on your pages that answer those frequently asked questions within the wording, then that live chat widget becomes unnecessary. So that's the better question. Um, what are the questions that need answering, and how can you answer them on your website? Um, if people submit a question to you via email or they call you up, are the emails getting answered? Are the phone calls getting answered? Are you responding quickly? Would live chat be any faster than you telephoning or emailing? If not, definitely rule it out and just look to improve your website copy and your website wording. Okay. Uh, I hope that makes sense. I feel it does. Um, yeah, I think most of the time, live chat experiences aren't live and are simply frustrating. The only people I know that are live chat are the bloody utility companies, and I don't want to talk to them anyway. So yeah, that's my answer. Try and avoid it. Look to improve your website and to respond faster via automation, telephone call, email to incoming questions. If you can't do that, if a live chat widget would actually make you faster in responding, then do that. But I would try and avoid it. Okay, so they are all the questions that I have for today. Let's jump back into LinkedIn event management. Okay, I've had no additional comments, no additional questions, so that's absolutely fine. I can't see anything on Instagram, nothing on YouTube. Okay, great. So I'm going to leave it there for today. Thank you for joining me for today's Ops Room. It is just an informal session. Like, people are sending me questions, which is great, but I'd love for people to jump onto the live, leave me a comment, leave me a question, and let's engage in real time. Because it's about being human, isn't it? It's about the shared experience, not necessarily just me creating more content for you to watch or not watch, as the case may be. I know I bookmark a lot of things on Instagram and never come back to them, or I save them on YouTube and never come back to them. And I don't want that to be the case here. I want this to be genuinely valuable and insightful content. And it's good. Your questions, the questions that are coming in are actually good questions, and I really appreciate the people that are sending those in. Um, and I'll put this episode up on YouTube. Hopefully you'll watch it there. Leave a comment if you've got any questions. And I will be back at 2 o'clock next week. Alrighty. Thanks very much. And I will see you later.